My most humble pranams at the divine lotus feet of our loving Bhagwan. Dear revered guests, elders, brothers and sisters, and children, Jai Sai Ram.
Jai Sai Ram.
With Bhagwan's blessings and grace, we have all come here today to participate and share in Region 5 Guru Purnima celebrations. Since the dawn of mankind to the modern day, many people from all cultures, all religions, all parts of the world are on a spiritual quest. They have found a spiritual guru, a teacher, someone to guide them on the path of goodness, to enrich their lives and to help them to realize and understand the deeper significance of their existence. In October 1940, Bhagwan Baba, his first message as an avatar of this age was Manasa Bajare Guru Charanam, Dustara Bhavasa Garataranam. This was his divine declaration to us all that if we hold on to him, to surrender to him, to hold on to his lotus feet, he will guide us and guard us and take us and be our guru on this spiritual journey called life. So we are blessed from many, many past lifetimes, I'm sure, to not only have just any guru, but the Purna Avatar himself, to guide us and be our truest guide, to take us on this journey in our lives. And for this, Swami, we are eternally grateful. Guru Purnima has traditionally been celebrated in Indian culture in this month of July on a full moon day. And this is a day that's dedicated to the Guru. Bhagwan has encouraged us to continue and remember the importance of honouring the Guru by inaugurating the very first Guru Purnima celebrations in Prashanti Nilayam in 1956. And he did this with a divine discourse, the very first Guru Purnima divine discourse. And in this discourse, Swami explains the importance of the Guru. He said, when man loses his way and strays into the wilderness, believing that he is the body, or the qualities, or the object, then an avatar comes to warn and to guide. Keep the faith in the Lord undiminished. You can then safely move about in the world. No harm can ever come to you. So in Region 5, today, we continue this tradition of celebrating and honouring our Guru, and we join together for 3 reasons. To remember our Sadguru, Bhagwan Shri Satya Sai Baba, with gratitude, to reflect on his teachings, and to resolve to put his teachings into daily practice. And today, we do this through cleansing and uplifting bhajans, musicals and dance recitals, and by listening to messages by our revered guests, SSE children and young adults, that inspire us to remember Swami's teachings. So let us all enjoy the celebrations today, and may everything that we experience inspire us and remind us to keep our Sadguru near and dear to us, every moment of our lives. Shivani and myself will be your MCs, so we will take you through the day step by step, so you'll see more of us both. But first, we welcome our dearest Swami with a beautiful... not first. We remember Swami now by watching this darshan video.
సహనమన్నదే మనకు చక్కదనం. ప్రేమ స్వరూపుల ఈనాటి మానవులకు సహనం అన్నది ఏమిటో తెలియకపోతున్నది.
The modern man has no idea of what sahana, tolerance is.
సహనం అన్నది భారతీయుల యొక్క అంగ సంబంధాన్ని గుర్తించుకోలేకపోతున్నారు.
People are not able to realize that it is the tolerance which is the real beauty of this sacred land.
సహనం లేనటువంటి మానవుడే కాదు.
One cannot be a human being bereft of tolerance.
ఈనాడు కుటుంబంలో చూసినప్పుడు మానవులకు చాలా మందిని పోయి అసహ్యం అనేటువంటిది ఆరంభిస్తున్నది.
When man comes across the unfortunate and physically challenged, he has got expression of the disgust instead of sympathy and tolerance.
నిజముగా సహనవంతులనే కేవలం గొప్ప విలువైనటువంటి యొక్క మంత్రము మన భారతీయులకు.
In fact, this tolerance is the most important, highly sacred mantra to Bharatiyas.
ఇటువంటి పవిత్రమైన మంత్రమును వదిలి ఎంత సంక్రమణించైనా మానవుడు కేవలం అమాయకత్వంలో పడి అజ్ఞానంలో మునుగుతున్నాడు.
He has forgotten the sacred principle of tolerance. He is carried away by all the machinery and different procedures and is remaining himself drowned in ignorance.
నేను ఎవరైనా ప్రేమతో సంభాషిస్తే అది నాకు ఎంత ఆనందమో చెప్పలేదు.
Bhagavan says he is beyond expression as he talks to people lovingly.
ఆ ప్రేమ లేకుండా కేవలం పరిహాసంతో కానీ లేక పవిత్రమైనటువంటిదని కానీ భావించి నన్ను వర్ణిస్తుంటే అది నాకు చాలా అసహ్యం వేస్తుంది.
On the other hand, if you talk as a matter of fun, limiting to description, Bhagavan is vexed or disgusted with such talk.
కనుకని ప్రేమతో నన్ను పలకరించండి.
Talk to Bhagavan with all your love.
ఆ ప్రేమతో పలికినటువంటి పలుకులు అన్నిటికీ అక్కడనే జవాబు వస్తుంది.
You get the response then and there itself when your words are full of love.
ప్రేమతో సాయి అని పిలుచు.
Say with all love, Sai.
ఓయి అని పలుకుతారు.
You get the response, Oi, Oi.
కనుకనే ప్రేమ లేనటువంటిది మాత్రము నన్ను ఏమాత్రం కదిలించలేదు.
Nothing can touch or move Bhagavan.
ఆ ప్రేమను మాత్రము కవరగా చేసుకుని నన్ను పలకరిస్తే నేను ఎప్పుడైనా పలుకుతుంటాను.
Bhagavan will certainly respond if we talk to him with love.
ప్రేమకు మించినటువంటిది ప్రాణం మరొకటి లేదు.
There is no life other than love.
కనుక భగవంతుని మనము చూడాలనుకున్నా పలకరించాలనుకున్నా ప్రేమ చేతనే మీరు పలకరించండి, ప్రేమ చేతనే చూడండి.
If you want to see God and talk to him, then have this love. Talk to him lovingly. Watch him with full of love.
ఎంత ధనం ఉన్నా ఎంత గుణం ఉన్నా ప్రేమకి ఏమాత్రమో పనికిరావు.
All your wealth, all your status stand nowhere in front of love.
ఈ ప్రేమకు మించినటువంటిది మరొకటి జగత్తులో కానరాదు.
In this world you do not find anything more than love.
ప్రేమ ప్రేమ ఈ రెండు అక్షరాలకు మించినటువంటి యొక్క మాధుర్యము ఎక్కడ కూడా కానరాదు.
Two-letter word, prema. All the sweetness contained in this, you do not find.
ప్రేమకి ఎంత దీపిస్తామో అంత దానికి మాధుర్యం వస్తుంది.
Prema, as you utter, then it speaks of all sweetness there.
కనుక ఈనాడు పోవడం నేను మీకు అందించేటువంటిది అమూల్యమైనటువంటి వస్తువు ఒక ప్రేమ మాత్రమే.
On this most auspicious sacred day of Guru Purnima, Bhagavan gives us most valuable gift, the gift of love to everybody.
ఈ ప్రేమలో లేకుండా నేను ఏది ఇచ్చి కూడాను అది ఫలితం ఉండదు.
Without love, whatever that is given to you is useless.
కనుక నా ప్రేమనే పవిత్రమైనటువంటి యొక్క సింధూరం.
It is this Bhagavan's divine love, which is most auspicious and sacred, the very vermilion, Sindura.
ఇట్టి ప్రేమని మీరు అభివృద్ధి పరచుకోండి.
This love we have to foster and grow.
Jai Sai Ram. We now welcome our dearest Swami with a beautiful invocation dance by the SSE children of Halifax. The dance starts with an invocation shloka describing the important status a Guru occupies in our lives. It goes on to a vibrant dance praising Lord Ganesh and ends with a classical rendering called Pushpanjali. The dance forms presented by the girls here are called Kuchipudi and Bharatanatyam, which are the two important classical dance forms of South India. Jai Sai Ram.
Guru
thank you to the two girls, Harshita and Bradford, for that beautiful dance. It was absolutely wonderful. If you all would like to give him another round of applause. It was so very intricate. Each move was so very perfect. Thank you girls very much. So moving on swiftly through our programme to our next item, which is our guest speaker of the day, Anish Nambiar. Anish Bhai is a student of Prashanthi Nilayam campus of the Sri Sathya Sai University, where he did his MBA and passed out in the year 2002. He lives in Aylesbury near London and works as the Vice President, Sales for Global Technology and Services Organisation in banking and financial services industry. Having been born in a Sai family, Anish Bhai has been very privileged in that he's been an active youth in India and has been privileged to attend the first ever youth conference, which was held in 1997. Anish Bhai has been an active member of Goda Canal Service Volunteer and has had various roles in the UK service organisation. He is a passionate SSC teacher and he has been the Centre President of Slough Sai Centre. He finds taking SSC classes very energising. Presently, he's the Vice President of Region 3 and an SSC teacher and active member of Aylesbury and Milton Keynes Sai Centre. So if we'd like to welcome Anish Bhai to the stage. Sarah.
I offer my most humble and prayerful salutations at the divine lotus feet of our Sadguru Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba. Respected elders, my dear sisters, brothers, and loving SSC children, Jai Sai Ram.
Jai Sai Ram.
On this beautiful day of Guru Purnima celebrations, the eve of Guru Purnima celebrations, having assembled here under one roof as Region 5, let us spend the next 30 minutes or so to ask us a few questions, to find answers together for a few questions. Who is a Guru? What is the difference between a teacher and a Guru? Why should we follow a Guru? And how should we follow a Guru? The 4 questions. Now, as we progress in this spiritual path, as we follow our Master, it's important to demystify some of our own understanding of the phrases used. As it is said in Sanskrit, the word Guru has 2 parts. The one who helps us remove the darkness, and the darkness here is the darkness of ignorance. Gu is the darkness of ignorance, and Ru is the one who helps us remove it. So Guru thereby, in one of the interpretations, is the one who helps us remove the darkness of ignorance. There is another meaning as well. Gu stands for Gunatita, the one who is beyond all gunas. What are the gunas? The sattva, the rajas, and the tamas. The state of serenity, the state of action, and the state of inertness. The one who is beyond all the 3 states of gunas. Ru also stands for Rupa Rahita, or Rupa Varjita, which means the one who is beyond all forms and attributes. So Guru is also represented as the one who is beyond all forms of gunas and all forms and attributes himself. That is another definition of the word Guru. There is a third meaning to this word Guru. Guri in Sanskrit also means target. The one who helps us achieve the target, that is Guri, is also Guru. Now what is this target being spoken about here? The target is the single Atmic principle that Brahman and you are not different. God is within each one of us, is that purpose that is meant as target here. So the one who helps us understand the Brahman within is Guru. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. The girls who did dance before this session so very beautifully played to this particular hymn. Guru Brahma. Guru is Brahma. Brahma is the creator of this universe. Guru is Vishnu, the one who does and permeates this universe and preserves everything that happens in this universe. Guru is Maheshwara, the one who commands and ordains everything that happens in this universe. And to that Guru, who is a culmination of all the three aspects of divinity, we offer ourselves. We offer, as Sister initially said, as Swami mentioned in Manasa Bhajare Guru Charanam, our today's endeavor should be to offer ourselves to this divine Guru, to this divine Master who is helping us through this samsara of worldly existence. Now, let's understand the difference between a teacher and a guru. As Swami has mentioned, in one of his discourses, Guru Purnima discourses in 1984, July 13th, Swami has said, a true Sadguru is the one who is egoless. A true Guru is selfless. He is ever loving. He is purity himself, incarnation of purity. He who shows by example that all the senses that we have are to be used for a single purpose. Remember the Guri that we spoke about earlier. The single purpose is to understand the divinity within. So all the senses should be channelized to understand the single purpose, which is identify and understand the divinity within. The Guru is this person who helps us understand that principle and the key purpose why we are here, which is the understanding of the divinity within. Now these are the few aspects that distinguishes a Sadguru from an ordinary teacher. Now there is another aspect which we all have experienced, and hence we are all here. Why a Sadguru is truly a master for us in this journey. And that is the Sadguru's omnipresence, the omnipotence, and the omniscience. This is one attribute which qualifies our Sadguru very uniquely. Allow me to share with you one of the experience which I had a couple of decades back, which gave me in one experience the example and the experiential learning of understanding all the three aspects of omnipresence, omniscience, and omnipotence of our dear Lord. This was in the year 2000, when I had just finished I was in the final year, about to attend exams of my engineering. This is prior to me joining Puttaparthi as a student. So, the final year of the exam, my parents at that time had decided to go to my native place, and this was in a very remote part of a village in Kerala, a place called Wayanad. It's a very hilly terrain. So the plan was that after my exams I would join my parents. But as like all the mothers here, my mother told my father, listen, he's studying alone. He has got one more exam to finish in the next 3 days. I don't think we should let him on his own. At least the food and other things will be a problem. Let's go. Let's go and help him for a couple of days and then come back as a family together back to the native place. So she convinced my dad to go against the earlier planned one. And then they decided to take a bus and come to Coimbatore where I was. On the way,
The most horrible, interruption. Sorry, Anish. There is a car which is really blocking, and somebody needs to get out now. The car is blue Audi GN64 YLF. Sorry, I'm really sorry.
No. So on the way, they were coming to Coimbatore, and it was in a bus that my parents were traveling. The bus loses control, and then in a hilly terrain, it goes and head-on crashes into a truck. Now, it was a very major accident, and the driver lost his life on the spot. The left-hand side of the bus, almost about 6 to 7 seats, it was all sprayed with dead bodies. My parents were in the left-hand side, the third seat. On seeing this collision head-on, my father, by virtue of his reflex, just got up on the seat. And the impact was such that he was thrown to the back of the bus. Now, as he gathered consciousness and the villagers came around, and his first thing was to rush to where he was sitting to find where my mother was. And as he approached, he could see only dead bodies in the whole first 6 seats. And as he was searching along with others, they could find that the entire seat had miraculously coiled. And like a cocoon, my mother was inside, tucked. She was, of course, unconscious. They were all rushed to the hospital nearby. It was a government general hospital, which was there in that place. And the scans were done, and after some time, my mother regained consciousness. And after the scans, it was found that she miraculously survived with a very small crack in her pelvis bone. Now, this whole episode had happened, and she was in the hospital. And out of nowhere, there's an elderly woman who comes to her with a photograph of Bhagwan Satya Sai Baba and a packet of vibhuti, and hands over to her. Says that she doesn't know anything about my parents being Baba's devotees. She says that he will take care. And then mother hasn't seen this lady after that. Now here is Swami giving an assurance to his devotees that I am with you. I have protected you. Now the story doesn't end here. At the same time, since I was going through my exams and this final exam was there, my father has explicitly told people around not to inform about this accident to me. Now thinking that, I would rush in and miss the exam and so on and so forth. And this exam was very important because this was the last exam without which I couldn't go for my higher studies or for any job after that. So me completing this exam in time was very important at that point in time. So they didn't inform me about this episode at all. On the day of the exam, I found out from my father's elder sister that this had happened. And I was completely restless as I went into the examination hall. And I knew that all I could do was just write the exam enough to pass the exam. This 46% was the pass mark. I wrote only for 50 marks and then walked out of the examination hall so that I could immediately reach my parents. And I met them, brought them back to our place. They started attending to proper medication, so on and so forth. Before I joined Parthi, my results came from my engineering exams. And to my surprise, having written only for 50 marks, I get 90 marks in that particular subject. And I did not know how, because I know I had written only for 50 and walked away from the examination. I have not written beyond that. So there was this lot of puzzles which were going on in my mind about what happened. And then, as Sister initially called out as part of the introduction, all you do is attribute to the Lord. There must be something. I was fortunate to join Puttaparthi for my MBA that year. And the month of June, as part of one of the darshan, I was sitting in the front row. Swami was walking past, and Swami stopped by Professor Anil Kumar, who was sitting opposite to me. And Swami started narrating about two of his devotees. And he clasped his hands to show how difficult was that accident, and he started explaining about a whole lot of stuff about two of his devotees. As Swami was explaining, there's a sense in my mind, I know this whole episode. This is very, very known to me. As this thought went in my mind, straight Swami looks into my eyes. How are parents? He asks. And then Swami says, I saved them. They are my devotees and I have protected them. And then he goes on to explain what specific problems they had by virtue of that accident. And he explains each and every detail of which part, which hand, which part of the wrist my father had a fracture, where did my mother had fracture. And then he not only stops there, he goes on to explain. And it's very important what I'm saying here, sisters and brothers. Because we think when we do Swami's work, when we are actively participating in Swami's service activities, we think that God knows. But we don't, it doesn't sink into us that Swami is watching every aspect of our activity, our service. Because Swami at that point in time tells me about where I stood in Kodaikanal service. And I knew in Kodaikanal, some of us who have been to Sai Shruti in Kodaikanal knows that it's a vast place. And you can completely get lost if you are a service volunteer there. But Swami exactly was pointing to the place where I was doing service. Swami was telling every specific nuance about me. And then, in a very loving, childish way, after having said all these subtle nuances, as if he did not know this thing, he asked, which engineering you did? So I said, Swami, computer. Then Swami says, come pure. And then, as if he did not know my name, Swami asked, what is your name? So I had this opportunity to share my name. And as Swami asked, the Divine Lord and your Sadguru ask you, it's an opportunity he gives you to interact with him. So this whole episode went on, which when I look back, it taught me the three aspects of Sadguru. The three aspects which we spoke of Sadguru, which is the omnipresence, the omniscience, and the omnipotence. As part of the casual dialogue, Swami also makes a comment to Professor Anil Kumar. He got 90% marks. And I know how much I knew at that point in time how much I wrote. So here is our Sadguru, our Lord, in one experience, having told me that having witnessed your parents' accident at that point in time, having protected them, I am omnipresent for my devotees. He tells me the entire episode which happens, which shows me his omniscience. And with the example of, you do not have to write your exam, I will write it for you when in need. He shows me his omnipotence. One example where the Lord had actually told me the magnanimity of the Sadguru, the magnanimity of, as Sister says, this Purna Avatar, that what he can do to us. And as He watches us every moment of our life. Now, as we ponder over this aspect of Sadguru, to know what is the difference between a teacher and a guru, this question comes to us: why should we follow a guru, and how should we follow a guru? For some of us who recollect that there was an incident in Puttaparthi in the mid-90s. It was such an incident that it shook a lot of devotees. It shook the faith of a lot of devotees. There were so many devotees who thought, and they were very close to Swami, that some of others thought that our ideal devotees, our role model devotees, this is a devotee like whom I want to be. Like many of us thought like that. Those devotees suddenly stopped becoming Swami's devotees after this incident. A lot of them left Puttaparthi. A lot of them stopped believing Sathya Sai Baba is God or Guru himself. This shook Puttaparthi when this incident happened in the mid-90s. A few students and teachers who had an opportunity to have Swami's interview during that time was called into the Bhajan Mandir, and Swami was spending time answering their questions. So one of the teachers asked Swami, why is it that people whom we thought are role model devotees, why is it that people whom we thought are those whom we wanted to be like, why is it that those people, those devotees whom we thought had enjoyed so much of physical proximity with you, to whom you used to talk on a daily basis, to whom you have showered so many things, why is it that they're all left Puttaparthi? What happened, Swami? Why is it that this is happening? Why is it that you're letting this happen? Swami smiles and gives a very beautiful response at that point in time. Swami asks a question. Swami says, when nothing in this world is free, how can the most aspired one, which is divine darshan, sparshan and sambhashan, be free? And Swami goes on to explain that it is not free. Swami says that all of you, all my devotees, what you enjoy, and Sister earlier brought this up as part of the introduction and the welcome speech as well. Each one of us who enjoy the divine companionship is by virtue of lives and lives, not years and years, lives and lives of prapta, of yearnings, of our own yearnings and prayers, that we are now enjoying Swami's divine companionship. And then he goes on to explain with a beautiful analogy. Swami says, this praptam that each one of us have earned is like an ice cube. It's like a big ice cube. This ice cube, imagine, is taken out from the fridge and kept under the sunlight. It starts melting. Swami says, the more I give, the more you are in contact with me, the more the ice melts into water. Time will come when the entire ice becomes water, and that's it. Your earnings are over. You will stop receiving what you received from me. This shook the entire room. People were scared. Here is Lord telling us that there is an expiry date to devotion. We all thought we were Sai devotees. We all thought, tomorrow I will do this for Baba, day after tomorrow I will do this big service, I will build that for Sat Sai Baba. And here is Lord saying that, listen, there is an expiry date to you being my devotee. So people were all shaken. So one of them asked, Swami, how is it that we can make this ice retain as ice and not let it melt into water? Then Swami very sweetly says, yes, there is a way. And that, he says, is by Namasmarana. And Swami goes on to explain what Namasmarana means. Namasmarana is not 30 days or 30 hours or 30 minutes sitting in front of an altar, praying to Lord, give me that, give me this. That is not Namasmarana. Namasmarana is not keeping on chanting God's name by thinking of everything else in the world. Namasmarana, as Swami explains, is offering everything to God, from morning to evening, from dawn to dusk. Swami has said, you be not the one to judge what to offer to me. Offer everything. Sisters and brothers, look at the purport of what Swami said here. Don't be the one to rationalize and judge, to offer the good to me and the bad to you. Don't distinguish. The moment if you're brushing your teeth, offer that to me. You're looking into a mirror, offer that to me. Every aspect, irrespective of what in your eyes is good, bad or ugly, offer to me. And that is true Namasmarana. Seeing God in everything from morning to evening. Seeing God in every action, every thought, every word and every deed. Swami says that is true Namasmarana. One aspect where our divine Sadguru has said how to pray, how to offer and how to follow our Sadguru. Another beautiful instance where Swami has said how to follow our Sadguru is by virtue of surrender. We all know this term surrender. And I'm reminded of, again, as part of the introductions, 1997 First World Youth Conference. I was fortunate to be part of that World Youth Conference when Swami used a very beautiful example, a very beautiful analogy to explain the various aspects, the three types of surrender that we tend to do. So Swami says, Swami gave an analogy, and let me try to explain how the way it was put. Assuming I have a good friend, and I'm going on a nice vacation to a very beautiful, exquisite place. And I wanted to offer something to my friend after coming from that vacation. So I go to this place, find that there is very beautifully hand-printed handkerchief which was there. Let me buy that for my friend as a gift and offer it. Now this being a scenario, I buy this very beautiful gift during my vacation. It's very nice. And I thought of my friend during this time. Very expensive, but nothing above our friendship. So I thought I'll buy this and give to my friend. But there are three things can happen when I give this to my friend. There are three responses that my friend could give. And then there are three emotions that can go in my mind. One is this beautiful handkerchief. When I come back from my vacation, I offer to my friend, here it is, I bought this for you. And the friend's reaction is, oh, so lovely, so nice, so exquisite, so beautiful. More than that, you thought about me during your vacation? That place, so beautiful. That reaction, the moment I hear this reaction, I see this reaction, oh, what a lovely friend. See how he is reciprocating. Let me buy next time also for him when I go. See, this is how friendship. A second instance, the same beautiful handkerchief, hand-printed, expensive, I give it to my friend. My friend takes it and keeps it by his side and says, thank you. By the way, Anish, the project that we discussed the other day, why not we do this? So I'm listening to him, but in my mind, thinking, oh, I've given you such nice gift. And you've not given much of attention to it. Okay. The third way in which he would react. As soon as he got it, he got a sneeze as well. He used this handkerchief so timely. He sneezes into that beautiful handkerchief, silk handkerchief. Hand-printed. And then not only that, he keeps it next to the pen. Because it came handy to him and the job is done. So what goes on in my mind? I have bought this with so much of love, respect for you, thought about you during my vacation. Spent so much of money as well. And then look at the way you are reacting. No love back in return. No respect for what I did. All these are happening in my mind. The three ways in which we would respond to this particular situation. Now Swami says, these are the 3 ways in which humans surrender to God. In one instance, you do this extraordinary penance, single-legged puja, standing with all kind of sacrifices which goes along with it. Knowing clearly well that, Lord, it's all for you. Done that service, this activity, everything. And then, immediately the next day, promotion at work. This God works. You know what? Pratyaksh. And talks to 5 people about it. You know, when I did this, he is simply superb. The second instance, the same half an hour, single-legged penance. Doing all the auspicious, all the service activities that one would want. Thinking that it will please the Lord. Offered. The next day, nothing happens. Okay. Give a week. Still nothing happens. 3 months have passed. You started telling to yourself, you know what? God has so many devotees. Wait, it will happen. 6 months passed. Now it turns slowly into anger. I've done all these things. You know what? It's not working. You know? He's probably not listening to me. He has, many other practices. Why should he listen to me? Justification. The third reaction. You have offered the same single-leg penance. The same set of sacrifices which has gone into pleasing Lord. And then what happens? The next day, the close one in the family dies. Tragic circumstances have happened around you. Immediately you feel so bad. I have done so much for you, O God, and this is what you have given me in return. You know what? Rama, Treta Yuga, not very effective. No, Buddha is more contemporary. Let's try Buddha. Or you know what? Jesus is closer. He can probably listen better. The way your mind plays when you surrender is with an outcome in mind. Conditional surrender is what we all do. We offer ourselves, we say, Swami, we are surrendering to you. Conditional. If I give you this, you should give me this. If then clause. Now Swami has said, accept irrespective of what the outcome is. Irrespective of the good and the bad that you might face. Accept my will. That is true surrender. The true surrender is unconditional. The true surrender is without expecting anything in return. This reminds us of Bhagavad Gita, where Bhagavan Shri Krishna had told to Arjuna. And this beautiful example of Arjuna is so relevant because each one of us in our world, the existence is an Arjuna, is an example of Arjuna. And here is our Lord was told us, Karmanyevadi karaste, ma phaleshu katachana, ma karma phala hetur bhuhu, ma te sangostho karmani. Oh Arjuna, you have right only for the action. Do not ask for the fruit of the action, for you do not have the right for asking for the fruit. Oh Arjuna, do not do the action in the first place thinking of the fruit. Swami has very, very clearly mentioned the same philosophy and the same principle that do not expect an outcome when you offer something to me. Surrender has to be unconditional. A very beautiful example of an experience comes into my mind. So, as some of us would know, in the month of January, there's a big activity which happens in a Sai student's life if you're in Puttaparthi or in Anantapur or in Vrindavan campus. There's this annual sports meet. So this annual sports meet is a big deal because our Lord gives so much of importance to physical well-being as well. And so this is a subtle competition to impress the Lord between the 3 different campuses. And I can see some of the smiles coming from our sisters from Anantapur. So these 3 campuses always try to do something to impress upon Swami than what the previous year's activities were. So that year, which was I think 2002, we were part of, so the Puttaparthi, the Prashanthi Nilayam campus got the bike stunts. So these are very, very interesting ones because the bike stunts are actually taught by the Indian Army themselves. And there's a two-month drilling practice which goes into that team by the Indian Army. A lot of us have lost about 10 kilos of weight just during that month and a half to two, because you get completely fit during that period of training. Now, some of us who were part of this bike stunt group wanted to impress upon Swami as much as we could, because there's also a hidden agenda there. Because the previous year, sisters from Anantapur had done it, the same bike stunt, and they did. Swami was very happy with their work. So this time around, we should do a little better, a little more, we thought. So, as the practice went, so there were all sorts of activities. So this group from the army that trains us is the same group which performs in front of the President of India during the Republic Day parade. They're called the Tornadoes. So they come at Swami's behest and train the students during that period for this activity. So the bikes come, everything is trained, you're kind of completely set for this, and very tough feats. So you're prepared fully for it. And one of the feats that we had was a ramp jump, which had to cross a certain distance. So the plan we had was, the previous year, I believe, there were 20 students who were lying down, and the bike could comfortably cross that when sisters from Anantapur did that as a ramp jump. So we thought it has to be at least 23 this time, because we have to show that we're better off in front of Swami. So we planned for this and went ahead into the ramp in all the practice session. Comfortably we were able to cross about 28, 30 in terms of students. And the plan was just to show that how daredevil you were. The students wanted to lie down when this bike was going on. The bike was going on top of the ramp. But you can't do anything where students are involved without explicit permission from the Lord. So every day we used to go, they're waiting for Swami's permission to grant us the permission to allow us for this ramp jump. Swami used to ignore us. Every day we used to wait, and Swami used to just walk in front of us but not look at us. Sometimes he used to avoid us. But this particular question that we wanted to ask, Swami never gave us a chance to ask for permission. So we felt really bad, but our professors told us explicitly that without Swami's permission, sorry, you can't lie down there. I can't give you permission. So we were so dejected. We were saying that, Swami, we practiced so much. All we wanted to do was impress you. And then you're here not even looking at us. What's this? We thought the last day before the sports day we would get permission. Swami did not. And being fully dejected, we did every other feat. But this feat was also performed. But we were not able to lie down. Because the whole thrill was lying down and a bike passing on top of you, and then you after that going and falling at Swami's feet. All those was the thrill for the students at that time. But Swami didn't give us permission. It so happened that on that day, there were two bikes which was being used. One of the bikes had the gears going downwards, and the other bike had gears going upward. These were two separate makes of two bikes. It so happened that the brother who was riding this bike had ridden the previous bike for another feed and had come from this one on this particular feed, and he had put the gears in the opposite way. As against going from 2 to 3 to 4, he had gone from 3 downwards to 2 and to 1 on the ramp. And he lands the bike where the 12th student would have, had we been lying down, would have been on the ground. We all got the shock of our life. There came the answer from our Sadguru, that had we been lying down there, a few of us would have lost our lives. Swami ignored us. Swami gave us a chance to present in front of him, but he never put our life at risk. Now this was another beautiful experience for explicit surrender. When your Guru gives you a tough time, when he gives you the toughest challenge, be confident. Be absolutely true to yourself that this is the right thing to happen. This is as perfect as it should be, because that's the will of the God, and God is so perfect that only the right thing will happen. Now with this beautiful experience that we've all gone through, and several of us have several of this experience, our Lord has taught us this whole excerpts of Vedas, the whole excerpts of the scriptures in various form to us. The Rig Veda in the Aitreya Upanishad says, Prajnanam Brahma. Brahma is the most supreme form of knowledge. The Yajur Veda in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says, Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. The Sama Veda in the Chandogya Upanishad says, Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. All that we see is Brahman. The Atharva Veda in the Mandukya Upanishad says, I am Atman Brahma. Atma and Brahma, Atma and Brahman are the same. Now this is the Atmic principle. This is that single purpose that we spoke, that our Guru has been trying to distill all these Vedas, all these scriptures into Mahavakyas in very simple terms for us to follow. What did Swami say? Love all, serve all, help ever, hurt never. Swami has said that don't search for various activities to please God. Just do service to your fellow beings. Because the same God in you is the same God in each one of us. Understand that God is not different from you but within you. The entire excerpts of Vedas, the entire excerpts of Upanishads, our dear Lord has summarized for us in some of these small Mahavakyas. Very simple ones in terms of expression, yet very profound one in terms of our ability to follow. On this beautiful occasion of the Guru Purnima day, as we think through, as we pray, as we offer our gratitude to our dearest Sadguru, on behalf of all of us assembled here, and those of us who cannot be here at this venue, I have the privilege to thank Swami. Swami, bless us all. Bless us all to be your devotees, for it is not within our hands and a gift to be your devotee. It is a gift you have given us. Make us humble. Make us loving. Give us this gift of love throughout our lives so that we can share. We can see it in all our fellow beings. We can share it with all our fellow beings so that we are true reflections, minor though, but of you, our Lord. O Swami, bless us to be your humble children. Bless us always to be offering ourselves as your humble children and to accept that you are and you only is our Sadguru. With these words, brothers and sisters, I thank you for the opportunity to be able to stand in front of you and share some of these experiences on this holy day of Guru Purnima. Thank you once again. Jai Sai Ram.
Thank you very much for coming over.
Thank you, Anish Bhai, for sharing so many beautiful experiences, reminding us that we are our own divinity and our own inner guide, but also reminding us of Swami's omnipresence, omnipotence and omniscience, through some wonderful and personal experiences. Thank you very much. But also to tell us how we should treat our Guru, how we should have our relationship with our Guru. Some really good examples there for us to take as well. There are so many stories. I'm sure each of us have taken a few of them to heart. Another round of applause, please, for me. So,
Make everybody stand up as in Prashanti, Sukrita was saying.
we should, yes. We should stand up and give a standing ovation. And the reason being that we are utilising our energy by standing up as well. It's a good thing to do for ourselves, good exercise, good energy in the room. Okay, so now we will break for Mahaprasadam. So the food will be served at the back in 3 minutes? 2 minutes? 2 minutes? Okay, so the food will be served at the back there. We'll have the children and the elderly people first, followed by the ladies, and then the gentlemen. There's plenty of seating. There's some seats with tables on the sides, either side as well, so make yourselves comfortable. You can also come to the front here as well. We'll end with the food prayer.
Thank you to the catering team, it was absolutely delicious. So we are going to now start our second half. So our second half is actually going to start with a bit of an interactive round. So we've got our Legit Green Science Centre youth group, and they're going to do a bit of... It's going to be an informative presentation, but it's also going to be slightly interactive, so hopefully you'll all be able to participate and enjoy. Jai Sai.
Lunch was excellent, wasn't it?
Oh yes, nothing like very much.
Well, the bhaturas were really good and really topped it off. Maja aa gaya.
So what's the plan for the rest of your day? Partying tonight?
Ram. It's Guru Purnima today. What partying?
Guru Purnima? My next door neighbour's called Purnima.
No. It's the festival Guru Purnima.
So what are they celebrating?
So, we are all celebrating Guru Purnima, okay? It's a sacred day where which we dedicate to our gurus and our teachers.
Okay. But why today?
Purnima is to do with the moon, so something to do with the moon and the mind, maybe?
You look a bit confused.
Don't come. Oh look, here come the ladies. They might know what it's all about.
What are you talking about?
We were just wondering, what is Guru Purnima? What's it all about?
Shivani might know.
Guru Purnima is celebrated on the full moon day of Ashad. It's basically a celebration in reverence of all of our gurus and all of our teachers. Gu of Guru Purnima means darkness and Ru means dispelling, so basically it's the dispelling of darkness. And the
Oh,
celebration of
wow.
that.
You seem to know your stuff. More than us anyway.
Wait. What do you mean they know their stuff more than us? We are Buddhiman as well, okay?
Okay.
What do you say to a competition then?
Ladies versus gents.
Devio versus Sajjana? Maybe you guys can help us out?
Everyone want to join in?
Okay, so we have some mics for audience participation. Who wants to go first? Lots of volunteers.
I think ladies should go first.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so gents, your first question for the ladies.
Who is your first guru?
So if the ladies like to put their hands up. I had a hand here.
Hands up.
Mother.
Yes, well done.
Oh, we also have a scorekeeper down here. Pujaman's keeping score, so we'll see what happens at the end. Okay.
So what's our question?
Recite one shloka dedicated to the Guru.
Anybody?
Genocide?
Anybody? Please,
Anyone
Izzat
else?
Kasalane, come on.
It's a competition, remember, if you know it, get involved.
Repeat the question again.
What was the question, Srijana?
It was, can you recite a shloka dedicated to Guru? How does it happen?
Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guru Namaha.
Okay, so I think we're equal so far. Next question for the ladies.
So, for the ladies, what does Manasa Bhajore Guru Charanam Dustara Bhavasagar Taranam literally mean? So not the flowery, what does it actually mean?
Guys, to give you a bit of a clue, it was on one of the slides earlier on.
Literally it means that if you
So Manasa Bhajore,
Manasa Bhajare Guru Charanam, concentrate on the lotus feet of your Guru. Vistara Bhavasagar Karanam, it will help you to cross the ocean of life.
Will you accept that answer?
More mind, okay.
Dustara Bhavasagar.
Taranam, it will help you to cross the big ocean of samsara.
Okay.
Will you accept
Yes.
this?
Yesterday was accepted. Today
Well done, ladies. Okay, next one for the gents. Can you name a guru from 3 different faiths? So teachers in 3 different faiths.
Not the same people.
Anyone different?
Come on, anybody at the front?
Come on, gent side. It's a competition.
Baba is the
Except.
best Guru.
Okay.
He is God, He is divine, He is Guru. Jesus and Muhammad.
Two.
Nabi.
One more.
One more.
Guru Gobind Singh.
Oh, a bit of teamwork from the brothers there. I think we'll accept that we're 2 more.
Fair enough.
Okay, so just making it a bit more difficult now. Ladies, what is the original name of Guru Purnima?
Anyone's hands
Not the
up?
same person.
Not the same person.
Not the
Same person.
Vyasa Purnima.
Yay! Okay, well done.
So this this has been mentioned a few times today. Janet's easier question. What is the meaning of Guru? The word Guru.
Guru.
Excuse me, no tips please.
Gu, obstacles, and then removal of obstacles.
I'm not sure if we can accept that.
Sorry, darkness.
Sorry.
Darkness.
Darkness is good.
Gu's the darkness, or the obstacles, and Ru is the removal of them.
Give a kind gesture. Do like that.
Anish pointed out there is a second meaning for that as well. That's the target. Achieving the target, Guri.
Fantastic. Yes. Right.
We're even for now.
Now, next question is for both teams. So, because there's plenty of answers for this. So, name one line in the Satya Sai Ashtotram, so 108 names of Satya Sai Baba, that depict him as a guru. One answer from ladies, one answer from the gents.
We'll give you
Everybody's scrolling through the 108 names now in their head.
But we'll start with the ladies' side, so...
What's really wonderful is I can see people starting to chant it. We have a hand on the ladies' side.
Saira.
Om Sai Ishwaraya Vidmahe Satya Devaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat.
Well, that was a wonderful rendition of the Sai Gayatri. We are actually looking for a line from the Ashtotra. So 108 names. Yeah. So a line from the 108 names.
I think I saw Saraswati Ben's hand go and go down again quickly.
Oh, no? Anyone on the gent side?
And the clue is that
He's still in the game.
Anyone?
There are two, Om Guru Devaya Namaha and Om Jnana Devaya Namaha.
I think
In the Satya Sai Ashtotram.
Oh, we stumped everyone.
This wasn't meant to be the most difficult question.
Welcome aboard. You've got an answer.
Om Bharadwaj Rishi Gotraya Namaha. Yes.
I mean, that describes Swami's lineage. Is there anything that alludes to him being a guru? To Swami himself being our guru?
We've got hand
Oh, we got an answer here. Can I get it first?
Om Shri Sai Sadguruve Namaha.
That's not from the Ashtotra.
That's not the Ashtotra. We have hands at the front here.
Yes. Om Shri Sai Jnana Swarupaya Namaha. Phones away.
Okay, so gents have done it. They've got that point. Ladies, do you have one?
The cheating.
Yes.
Okay.
That's cheating.
I don't know how I feel about the use of...
But we came up with a few actually, and they were Om Shri Sai Sakala Samsaya Haraya Namaha, Om Shri Sai Sakala Tattva Bodhakaya Namaha,
Om Shri Sai Gita Bodhakaya Namaha, Om Shri Sai Jnana Swarupaya Namaha,
Om Shri Sai Sujnana Margadarshakaya Namaha, Om Shri Sai Bhakti Jnana Pradipaya Namaha,
Om Shri Sai Bhakti Jnana Pradaya Namaha, Om Shri Sai Murtitraya Swarupaya Namaha,
Om Shri Sai Satya Dharma Parayanaya Namaha. That was from extensive research. Okay.
So, what are our scores right now?
Was the ladies
Yeah.
count? So 4-all.
4-all. Okay, so let's see if we can get a clear winner. Do you want to do a question for the ladies?
Yes, so ladies, name a present day Buddhist guru. A present day. Nishi. Yes, fantastic.
Gents faced a follow-on from that question. What path did Buddha teach to his disciples?
Vijay? No.
The path, the name of the path.
Advaita?
No. It's the name of a path he told. No, gents.
Ladies are getting very enthusiastic.
Somebody else knows?
Side of it.
Beautiful path.
Fantastic. As it is depicted on the Dharma Chakra, there is 8 spokes, and Buddha taught the 8-fold path to his disciples.
So, tiebreaker question. First hand up or ladies
No
on the
shouting
side?
out.
No shouting out, please. Okay, so it's a question of prestige now. So, name a guru that's not a person.
Got one here.
Side of it.
The Guru Granth Sahib.
Oh, fantastic. So the Guru Granth Sahib is the scriptures of the Sikh faith. It's a fantastic order. So the winners are?
The winners are the gents. We will consider. Very well done to you. I hope you're all feeling nice and awake now as well after that lunch, because we made you think a little. Yes, your brains. Please do enjoy the rest of this afternoon's programs. Sairam.
Jai Sairam.
Jai Sairam. Jai Sairam. Thank you. Very good, very enthusiastic. We now have a beautiful few moments with Hannah, who will be sharing some of her loving experiences with Swami. We all know Hannah, she doesn't need a huge introduction, so we look forward to seeing how Swami has guided her throughout her life so far. Sairam. Dearest Swami, respected elders, brothers and sisters, and dearest children, Jai Sairam. I'll just be sharing a few moments of the droplets of love that I've experienced over the few years, and share some of the ways Swami is constantly guiding me and inspiring me every day throughout my life. I just wish to say thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my experiences with you all. I would say that so far, and even continuously, the biggest lesson that Swami has taught me is that everything happens for your own good. Don't question it, trust it, and learn from it. So, although I've grown up in a Sai family, I've been very blessed to have parents who have followed Swami since I was born and grown up in the Sai community. I really started to develop my understanding of who Swami is and why I should be following Swami. Around the age of 16 to 18 was when I really understood what it meant to follow Swami and why, who should be, how a devotee, a Swami and a Sai follower should behave. And this is when I developed a closer relationship with Swami, when the times when you are really tested, all the practices that come from SSE, all the teachings start to being put into practice.
One of the experiences I'll share is when Swami really showed that he's there for us. When I keep him in the focus, keep Swami in the centre, he will be there for us, protecting us all the time. So many of you know that I'm currently a doctor, and it's been a long route, a long journey to get this far, and I had some challenges along the way, and it's not been an easy journey. In medical school I had to resit some exams, and when I was waiting for the results, it was the day of the results were coming out for the resits. I was waiting at home. It was 10 o'clock in the morning, I remember very precisely. I was feeling very despondent, very rejected, very down, that I'd failed. This is not, my parents would not be proud of me, and it's been a hard few months, and I was feeling very just rejected and feeling quite lost in the world. Like, why Swami would you put me into this situation if I wasn't going to succeed? Why give me this opportunity? And nobody was at home. I went into our prayer room in the home and just was contemplating and talking to Swami, really, asking these questions. And I remember it was very quiet. Now, many of you know my parents the family home is on top of a very steep hill. It's very steep, very narrow. And the next door neighbours had some very vicious, loud guard dogs. You could hear them day and night. Whenever anybody approached anywhere, you could hear them. You knew anybody was coming to the house because these guard dogs would introduce them. So there was a knock at the door. I didn't hear any dogs barking. There was a knock at the door. I opened the door and there's two elderly ladies, quite elderly ladies, stood at the door. I didn't, my first thought was, well, how did they climb such a big hill? They introduced themselves. They were Jehovah's Witnesses. Now, it was 10 o'clock in the morning. Why had Jehovah's Witnesses come to the door? We very rarely got any visitors like this. And they just asked me to read a passage from the Bible. And the sentence that I remember very clearly was that it was, God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in our trouble. And that message to me was an answer to all of my questions. That when we keep Swami in our focus, when we keep Swami at the forefront of our mind, then he will be there for us and he will protect us. The ladies didn't want to discuss things further. They just gave me the magazine and then they left. And this was Swami answering the questions for me. We shouldn't have doubts. We shouldn't have this. Why is this happening to me? Everything happens for our own good. Don't question it, trust it, and reflect on it, learn from it, is what Swami, I think, was trying to teach me. I received an email a few minutes later that I'd passed my exams and I was progressing through in the medical school. When Swami has shown me that determination and perseverance is paramount to achieving anything in life. Anything that is worth achieving, we have to put our mind to and dedicate our mind, our thoughts and actions to that cause. And again, Swami says that there will be troubles. Everyone has to go through some ups and downs, some good times and bad times. But when we keep Swami with us, he will give us the tools. He will give us all that we need to overcome these ups and downs, just as long as we keep Swami with us and keep him as our goal in life. I have a small quote from Swami that he gave in a discourse in January 1989. It's, "Dear students, teachers and lovers of education, for the accomplishment of any aims in life, man needs an unflinching mind, tireless endeavour and unshakable determination. Young boys and girls pursuing their studies have to cultivate these qualities if they wish to ensure for themselves a bright future and an honourable and worthy career. In facing different situations in life, students have to learn to practice equanimity and amiability. Equal-mindedness and a sense of oneness with all are the marks of a true human being. In this vast country, everyone has an important role to play. Everyone else, as a citizen, has a social responsibility. The world, indeed, is one human family. The true student should be able to experience oneness. Swami always has been that constant motivating factor in my life, and his guiding force is constantly with me. He's even guided me in my job, and even to which speciality I would join. Now, during my first 2 years, even in medical school, I didn't really know what area of medicine I would like to practice. I kind of was just getting by, getting through my jobs, and at the end of my foundation training, the basic training, I didn't know where to go. And Swami wasn't giving me any hints or clues at this point. So a lot of my friends were applying to go and work abroad in New Zealand or Australia. So I thought I would try the same. I will experience another healthcare system, work abroad. And I sent in my application. I was waiting and I didn't realise at the time that applications take a long time to go through. And I was beginning to get quite anxious. Some of my friends had already heard from their applications process. I hadn't heard anything. There was no reply to my emails. And again, beginning to become quite anxious and thinking, Swami, why are you leaving me like this? Like leaving me hanging. Swami had different plans. There was one evening and I was sitting again, talking to Swami, conversing, building that relationship with Swami. And I had this urge that I should look to travel abroad, look to do some charity work. And I don't know where that came from. It wasn't very common for foundation trainees, especially when they have such very basic skills as a junior doctor, then to go abroad and do such a thing. But I thought I would try. And eventually the plans rolled out very easily that I would spend 6 months in Uganda and working in a hospital there. And I experienced so much of Swami's guidance in this time. And it was there when I was working on the maternity unit that I really felt that this is what Swami wanted me to do. So I then entered specialty training in women's health and maternity care. This, I feel, is how Swami subtly guides us. It doesn't need to be apparent, very black and white. Swami will urge you and guide us when we keep him at the centre and we concentrate on him. So I'd just like to finish with a small quote from Swami. He says, "Love more and more people. Love them more and more intensely. Transform this love into service and transform the service into worship. This is the highest sadhana." Jai Saram.
Hannah, for sharing your experiences with us. I know that we've known you for so many years in this region and have kind of been with you on your journey in so many ways, but to have that insight into the faith that you have in Swami is really inspirational, and thank you so much for sharing that with us. It was wonderful. So we now have a beautiful poem that has been written by Sanjay Bhai Baja, who can't be with us today, but will be recited now by Shrimai from Manchester, our SSE child there. And the poem is reminding us of the importance of the Guru and reminding us of the quest that we're all on to realise that we should follow our inner Guru and that we're all embodiments of divinity. Jai Sai Ram.
Om Shri Sai Ram. Who is our Guru? Is it Satya Sai? Well, of course it is. I hear you all cry. Let's take a look on this very special day at what Swami has said to guide us on our way. Association with the Guru makes us more loving and kind. The darkness of ignorance is dispelled from our mind. Selfless with no ego, equal-minded without hate. When we find our true Guru, we must remember that day. Mother is our first Guru, and Father, he comes next. Teacher gives us worldly knowledge through study of lots of text. But the Guru alone can open our spiritual eye and prompt in us the eternal question, who am I? Am I this body, or is there something more? Who and what is this I really must explore. So if I'm not this body, then really, who am I? At last you want what I've come to give, says our dear sweet Satya Sai. We are all divine. In our heart is where Sai lives. Each moment we're awake, his darshan he does give. The Guru is within. The Guru's not outside. We are divine sparks. Our hearts are our true guide. The love that's in our hearts, to others it will flow. Sai's love, it does transform. It also encourages us to grow. It flows to those we pray for and to everyone we meet, in all the corners of the world and when walking down the street. Swami says to love all, which means loving ourselves too. We are walking temples. Yes, I'm talking about me and you. Thank you, dear Swami, for showing us the way. We hope you enjoy our program on the special Guru Purnima day. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, that poem was absolutely wonderful, and Shrimaya read it so beautifully. Thank you very much, and then another round of applause for her. And now we've got some more of our SSE children performing a small skit. This is from Halifax SSE. The skit is called Moment of Oneness, and it's about the unity of religion and religious tolerance. Swami's always talked about religious tolerance, and Swami's always talked about the fact that all religions are one. Well, the main religion is the religion of love. So this is going to be a focus on that and the focus on the unity. So, Jai Sai Ram.
one. Only the approaches are different.
Stop arguing. I will tell you the story of the elephant and the blind man, so you understand the significance of religious tolerance. Once upon a time, there was an elephant. Once upon a time, there was an elephant and 4 blind men.
They wanted to cherish the beauty of the elephant, but couldn't as they were blind, so they decided to feel it instead. The first blind man feels the sides of the elephant.
Oh, I get it. The elephant's sides feel like a wall.
The second blind man feels the legs of the elephant.
Oh, I get it. The elephant feels like spears.
The third blind man feels the tail of the elephant.
I get it. It feels like a rope.
The last blind person feels the legs of the elephant.
Oh, I get it. The elephant feels like a tree.
As you have seen in the story, the same elephant is perceived by the blind people in different ways. Just like that, Religions perceive the same God in different ways. They are all right in their own perspective. In reality, there's only one caste, the caste of humanity. Only one religion, the religion of love. Only one language, the language of the heart. And there is only one God, He is omnipresent.
Yes, you are right. The followers of each religion call upon the one God who is omnipresent and who listens to their prayers, be they from any race or whatever language they speak, but it is the same God who confers happiness on all of mankind.
We may have different religions, different languages and different skin colour, but we all belong to one human race.
Let us live and move in harmony. Let us grow together. Let us cherish the wisdom that we acquired together.
Let's get united. To know the absolute truth about God, we must experience the moments of oneness from all the religions. As Swami says, let the different faiths exist. Let them flourish. Let the glory of God be seen in all the languages in a variety of tunes. We must learn to respect the differences among the faiths and recognize them as valid, so long as they do not extinguish the flame of unity.
Govinda bolo, Gopala bolo, Govinda bolo, Gopala bolo, Ram bolo, Hari Ram bolo, Ram bolo, Hari Ram bolo, Allah Sai Yeshu Nanak, Allah
Jai Sai Ram. I was sitting there just thinking how amazing that was, wasn't it? So creative. So we have to say thank you to the children. And also to the gurus, because that was brilliant. I've never seen anything like that. Wonderful message, so thank you very much. Now, this is the last performance or offering from the SSE children. So we would like to invite Lalitha Aunty to the stage because we'd like to give all the children that have participated today a small present. So that's all the children from Halifax and Sri Mai as well. She's here. So all the children, can you please come back onto the stage? Thank you all. So now we have a beautiful musical that has been prepared by the Region 5 youth. So just an introduction into what the feeling is behind this musical. I'll just tell you a small story that Swami said. Once upon a time, God asked man, "Son, I have given you all the comforts, I have given you all the conveniences. You do not lack anything. But you are not offering gratitude to God, who has given you everything. When God has provided so many things and comforts, Why are you not showing gratitude to him? So the youth of Region 5 have been inspired by Swami to prepare an uplifting musical with the heartfelt theme of gratitude to our Guru. Let us listen and participate in this collection of devotional songs and offer our humble gratitude for his guidance. Jai Sai Ram.
Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. The Guru is considered equal to God because the Guru leads one to God. How fortunate are we, Swami, that when most people consider Guru as God, we have been blessed to consider God as Guru. In his Doha, Sadguru ki Mahima Ananta, Kabir Das says that the Sadguru's greatness is limitless and eternal. His compassion is infinite and inexhaustible. His grace opens a million eyes to bask in his limitless forms. The same echoes through the verses of all scriptures. Swami, as we gently rock you on the silver swing in the golden temple of our heart, we cannot help but burst forth in your praise as sung in the Guru Granth Sahib.
Guru
wonderful and uplifting offering. Can we have a round of applause? Swami has always been so loving of music, and that was absolutely beautiful and wonderful. Now we actually have another guest speaker from the Bradford Food Bank, Tarzan Almas. So the Bradford Food Bank is a project that the Lydia Green Science Centre have been involved in for quite so many years. Tarzan managed the food bank last year and is now the pastoral coordinator for the church. He's also a frequent volunteer there. And the aim of the food bank is really to distribute food to those that it's not really available to. It is actually one of the service projects that we'll be supporting today through this programme. So I'd like to invite Tarzan onto the stage. Isaiah.
Good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me? Yes. Thank you very much for inviting me to this wonderful afternoon. I've really enjoyed everything that's gone on so far, and it's a great privilege to come and share about the food bank with you. I'm also so pleased to see so many of the people here, and how wonderfully you work together as a community of people, not just in Bradford, but from the surrounding areas. So, well done to you all for being that. I just want to play a short clip about the beginnings of Food Bank, which were done through an organization called Trussell Trust. So maybe if you could just play that for a few minutes first, and then I'll share a little bit.
The Trussell Trust is fighting to end hunger and poverty in the UK. 1 in 5 live below the poverty line, which is equivalent to 13 million people. Our network of over 400 food banks provides a minimum of 3 days emergency food and support to people in crisis. When a client comes to a food bank, they are welcomed by a member of staff who offers them a hot or cold drink before discussing their situation with them. A food parcel is prepared, and our client is offered our More Than Food service, providing additional support, helping people in crisis to break the cycle of poverty.
As soon as I walked through the door, they said, "Do you want a cup of tea? Or do you want some biscuits?"
I got referred to a food bank. They helped me, they made me feel comfortable, reassured.
The volunteers were very helpful. Yes, they were very helpful.
Well, since I've been coming to the food bank, I've only been twice, but it's helped me out a lot.
I'm very grateful that there is food banks.
The situation is dramatically improved, and I'm just hoping it can only get better.
Thank you very much. So, food bank. There are over 400 food banks in this country now. The food bank project was started by this organization called Trussell Trust in 1997. The food banks really started going in 2004. The amazing thing is that Satya Sai Baba organization UK Region 5 has been involved with helping the food bank in Bradford for 5 years. You guys have been involved in helping the food bank. You have donated 1.3 tons of food over that period of time. And that has fed 216 people. So on behalf of the food bank manager and all the team of staff and volunteers, a really, really big thank you to Satya Sai Baba organization. And we hope that you will continue to support the food bank because it's doing a great job. Now, I want to ask people a couple of questions so that we understand a bit more about food bank. So my first question is, why do people give to charity? Why do people give to charity? Anybody?
To help.
To help people, yes. They've got more than what they need, so they are going to give that little bit extra they've got to somebody else who hasn't got it, yes?
It makes them feel good.
It makes you feel good when you give, yes? Yeah, I heard one other answer on this side, but...
Out of love.
Out of love, yes. So there are so many motives we have for giving, but the main motive, I guess, can be summed up in that we, in us, our Creator has put in us the desire to help other human beings. Yes? And because we care about people and we want to give. And I suppose as people who want to give and who are generous in heart, one of the things that always crosses our mind when we're giving is my giving going to the right person or the right people? Yes? Because you hear so many stories of giving to charity and then hearing that the money didn't go to the people who needed it. And I thought I'd explain a little bit about the food bank and say that the food that you donate to the food bank in Bradford does go to the right people. So let me just say a few things about that. There are many people in Bradford and right across the country who give to food banks. People like you make donations of food, other organizations make donations of food, the big supermarkets make donations of food to the food bank. Also, donations in form of money gifts go to the food bank as well. And all the food that is collected goes into a warehouse. The one that we run in central Bradford is about a quarter the size of this hall, is the food bank that we run. The food goes into the food bank. You might be asking, well, how do we decide which people get the food and which people don't get the food? Because there might be 10 people in a queue. How do we decide who deserves the food and who doesn't? People are vetted. People can't just walk off the street and say, I'm hungry, I need a food parcel. There are different organizations that issue vouchers to people. So for example, Job Centre is a big place. When the Job Centre knows that this person's money has been stopped and they can't buy any food or their money is going to be delayed, they issue them with a voucher to come to the food bank. Then there are family centres where people go and if the family centre manager feels that this family deserves a food parcel because they explain their situation is bad, they've moved new to this area, so they'll give them a voucher. Then other charity community groups issue vouchers. And so before they issue vouchers, they ask them questions about their circumstances to decide that they are a deserving people. So they bring that food voucher to the food bank. And then there's a group of volunteers there who are working in the food bank, and I'll explain what happens at our food bank. We've got some volunteers that work in the kitchen, that make teas and coffees and lunches. We've got some people who are working in the warehouse making food parcels. And then there are other people who do signposting. They look at the voucher and they talk to the person. So for example, if somebody comes off the street and says, I've got a food voucher, I haven't eaten for 4 days, I desperately need some food. What the signposter will do is first of all ask them if they need a drink of coffee, or they need some lunch. So we'll provide them with some lunch. And then they'll talk about their personal situation. They might be homeless, they might have their gas, electric cut off, things like that. So they are offered as much help as possible and signposted to different organizations that might be able to help them. And then whatever it says on the voucher, if it's a single person or a couple or a family, then that food parcel is given to them based on that information. Everybody with me so far? Yes. Okay, good, thank you. I have to say, when I first got involved with the food bank, it was just by chance. Like a lot of things happen in life by chance. I have just retired. People in the church were looking for some volunteers, and I said, I'm willing to help. And the manager had just resigned because she got another job. So I managed the food bank for a period of over 6 months until the new manager came in. And it really opened my eyes to the need that is around us in the city. Sometimes we compare Britain to third world countries and we think, comparatively there isn't much poverty. But when you actually talk to people whose children haven't eaten for a few days, or their electric has been cut off, they haven't got hot water in the house, you realize that actually there is poverty at our doorstep. And it is so good that people recognize that. I'm sure many of you have noticed people sitting on carriageways. There are bollards and people, there are different homeless people who found their little spots there with their card, and they're waiting for near the traffic lights that somebody passes by will drop them a few pennies. So the volunteers work like that in the food bank, making parcels, making drinks for them, and then sending them up with a food parcel. Now, people can't just keep coming and receiving a food parcel every day. The rule is that people will receive 3 food parcels in 6 months, because it is supposed to be an emergency service. On very exceptional cases do we give food parcels more than 3 occasions. But in the main, people are only given 3 food parcels in 6 months. And because there is such a need. So, to answer the question, how do you know your food is going to the right people? The answer is, there is a strict vetting process and only the deserving people get the food. So hope, if you had that question in mind, it is answered. But I just want to again, just say a couple of things and then I'll finish. Again, to thank you and anybody else who is probably not from Bradford, and you're thinking, food bank is a good project, our community can get involved in giving to the poor and the homeless, then please do get involved. If you need information, you can get the Central Food Bank number from the office. I'm sure Kamal knows their number, of the manager, Josie. What is interesting is, I'll just say a little bit about the kind of food that is donated. Most people would donate, well, you tell me first, what kind of food do you donate to the food bank?
HT milk.
Yeah, HT milk, excellent. Tins of soup, yeah. Sugar, yes. Tea bags. Pasta. Sorry? Toilet paper. Excellent. Yeah. Biscuits. Yes. Biscuits. Yeah. Rice. Yeah. Coffee and tea. Yeah. The very basic things. But let me tell you 5 items that get missed sometimes, and people need those items as well as food. So number 1 on the list, I think the brother at the back did say that, toilet roll. Toilet roll is often missed. So we have some people who donate just toilet roll to us because we ring them and say we desperately need some toilet roll. Item number 2 that is often not thought about is sanitary towels. So some people just donate sanitary towels. Another one, believe it or not, is tin openers. People donate tins, but the people who are going to have the tin of food haven't got a tin opener. So when we found out that that was the case, we started getting some tin openers. Another one is nappies. Children, families with children, babies, need nappies. And the other most common item is toiletries, like shampoos and shower gel and deodorants. We think of food, but these are also essential things, you know. People are going for a job interview and they want to smell nice. You know, the last thing you want is to go to an interview and not smell nice and then not get the job, which keeps you in the poverty. Okay, so that was all I wanted to say about the food bank. Again, a very big thank you to you all. And are there any questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you do nappies, do you have a range of sizes or just...
Yes, a range of sizes would be very helpful. Okay? All right. Well, thank you for the opportunity to come and share. I should be giving you guys flowers and gifts.
Sarah, thank you very much. Swami says that selfless service is perhaps the single most efficient and universal tool for understanding. Experience and expressing this divine principle of love. Service is love in action. Baba has always said that's the best way to love God, which is service. Hands that help are better than lips that pray, Swami said. So now we've got another musical offering, some devotional songs by St. John's Great Halton Music Group. Swami said that sing aloud the glories of God and charge the atmosphere with divine adoration. This is why I insist on group singing of the name of the Lord. So Swami's always influenced the fact that song is the best way to chant his name, to praise his name in the best way that we can. So this is going to be another opportunity where we can see another way of praising Swami's name. Swami's name comes in various forms: Allah, Jesus, Buddha, but now we're going to see a different form. So Jai Sai Ram.
Thank you so much for inviting me. My name's Nathaniel and this is Peter. We're from St. John's Great Halton, which, if you know Bradford, is next to the really big Tesco up the road. I'm the curate there, which means I'm one of the ministers. Just before we sing some songs together, I thought I'd tell you a story. And before I tell you a story, I'd say thanks so much for inviting me. My relationship with the Sai Baba Centre on Lakelands Lane has been really special and has developed over maybe the last 2 years while I've been in Bradford. And so thank you again for inviting me, and I hope we can continue this relationship. I've learned so much from my next door neighbours, Kanti and Tara, and they go to the Sai Baba Centre, and I've learned so much from Kanti about Sai Baba. He couldn't believe that I'd never heard of him when I moved to Bradford. His mouth nearly dropped down to the bottom. And it was so special when he was telling me about his guru, and we would share stories, and I would tell him about Jesus, the guru I follow. And I thought I'd share my favourite story about Guru Jesus, my Lord. Jesus one day was sitting to teach, and the religious leaders came to him, and they often tried to trap him because the words that Jesus said would offend them. And the religious leaders brought with them a woman that they just caught in the act of adultery. And as we know, it takes two to tango, but there was only a woman, no man. And so these men must have trapped this lady in this sin, in this problem. And Jesus doesn't say anything in response. He bends down and begins to write in the sand on the ground. And the scriptures don't tell us what he wrote, which makes us think of all sorts. Maybe he was writing their names, each of the religious leaders' names. He might have been writing the 10 Commandments. Who knows? We don't know what he was writing. And then he stands up and he says, "He who is without sin, cast the first stone." Because these religious leaders were saying this woman deserves to die. And he says, "Okay, which one of you righteous ones, you can start first." And then he gets down on the ground and carries on writing. And it says, the scriptures say, that from the oldest first, they each walk away. And then Jesus gets up from the ground and looks at the woman and says, "Where have they gone? Does anyone condemn you?" And the woman says, "No one, sir." And Jesus, the Guru Jesus, says to the woman, "Neither do I condemn you. Go and leave your life of sin." And that story to me is so powerful because I feel that Jesus has done the same to me, that he's rescued me, that we use this word of he's saved me. The next verse in the scriptures, Jesus says, "I am the light of the world. Whoever believes in me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life." A famous hymn says, "Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found, was blind, but now I see." We're going to sing a song together called Rescuer. It's a song we sing a lot in church, and it talks about how Jesus has rescued me. It might be easy for you to get the chorus, and you let me and Peter sing the verses. How about that? There is good news for the captive, good news for the shame. There is good news for the one who walks away. There is good news for the doubter, the one religion failed. For the good Lord is come to seek and the musicians might come and join us, maybe on tabla. Would that be okay? Yeah. Tabla players? Great. I'm just thinking, maybe the songs that are on the screen, we'll do a different one with a really, really simple chorus, so don't worry on the projector. The chorus goes like this. If I sing it and we learn the chorus together, it's a very simple chorus with the word hallelujah. Hallelujah means praise the Lord in the scriptures, and the chorus goes like this. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Your love makes me sing. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Your love makes me sing. So try it. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Your love makes me sing. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Your love makes me sing. You got it. We'll sing one more song. This song is less upbeat. It's a song we might sing in the festival of Easter, and it describes the crucifixion of our Lord Jesus, and how his crucifixion was so that it would bring us life. Christians believe that Jesus died in our place. He died to set us free, to destroy those powers of evil that hold us down.
how deep the Father's love for us, how vast beyond all measure, that He should give His only Son to make a wretch's treasure. How great the pain of searing loss, but Father turned His face away, as wounds which Mother chosen one may bear His sons to glory. Behold the man upon the cross, my sin upon His shoulders. Ashamed, I hear my mocking voice call out among the scoffers. It was my sin that held Him dead, until it was accomplished. His dying breath has brought me life. I know that it is finished. I will not boast in anything, no peace, no power, no wisdom, but I will boast in Jesus Christ, His death and resurrection. Why should I gain from His reward? I cannot give an answer, but this I know with all my heart: His wounds have paid my ransom. Why should I gain from His reward? I cannot give an answer, but this I know with all my heart: His wounds have paid my ransom.
Thank you very much for having us. It's a real blessing, our relationship with you guys, especially at Saigaba Centre in Bradford. And so finally I give, is it okay if I pray for you? Yes. Lord Jesus, thank you so much for this event today. Lord, we pray that your smile would be over it. Lord, that we would know your peace by the Holy Spirit. Lord, we pray that we would know more and more of who you are and lead us into the way of God. And the blessing of God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit be with you. Amen.
Amen.
Thanks very much. Thanks, everyone.
So that was absolutely beautiful. Thank you very much. What beautiful renditions. Swami's always said devotional singing is one of the processes in which you can train the mind to expand into eternal values. Swami gives such importance to devotional singing. Now we've seen a different form of devotional singing. But finally, we are going to conclude with bhajans. And then after bhajans, we will conclude with vote of thanks and the arati. So please sit back and enjoy the bhajans. Jai Sai Ram.
me